For decades, corporate marketing was relatively straightforward. Success relied on centralized, mass broadcast channels, primarily simple television and radio ad buys that reached a captive audience all at once. But the explosion of digital channels and data analytics fractured that model. Consumers began researching products on their own terms, using the internet to bypass traditional advertisements and forcing brands to compete for attention across dozens of fragmented platforms. This complexity created a burden of impossible expectations for leadership. CMOs were suddenly tasked with being brand visionaries, data analysts, and technology experts all at once, causing average executive tenures in the role to plummet. Modern marketing can no longer be managed as a purely creative exercise. It has morphed into a massive data management problem, where success depends on the ability to track and interpret millions of individual customer signals. TB Consulting, a mid-market technology firm, was facing a quiet crisis. Despite offering competitive services, their growth had hit a plateau, leaving them dangerously dependent on the revenue from one massive enterprise customer to stay solvent. To spark growth, they fell into a pattern of random acts of marketing. They bought expensive event space, launched disconnected web tactics, and pushed high volumes of activity, hoping for a cohesive result. The strategy failed. Over 3 years, the company burned through 4 different external marketing agencies, spending heavily on tactics that lacked an underlying roadmap and yielded no measurable traction. This created a deep internal conflict. While the marketing team pointed to their busy schedule and spent budgets, the CEO and CFO demanded proof of a return on investment that simply didn't exist. TB Consulting had the necessary marketing gears, the people and the tools, but they were scattered across the floor. They hadn't been assembled into a machine capable of producing revenue. Realizing they couldn't afford a full-time executive to fix the mess, leadership brought in a fractional CMO to audit the chaos and find a path forward. Her first move was radical. She immediately halted every active marketing campaign and froze the budget. The logic was simple. Injecting more capital into a broken, unmeasured system doesn't create growth. It only increases the speed at which a company wastes its resources. To scale effectively, a business must first construct a sound mechanical platform. You cannot pour gas into an engine that hasn't been built yet. The rebuild began with the foundations. The team spent months closing gaps in product marketing and crafting clear messaging that spoke directly to the needs of their specific buyers. Then they connected the technical pipes. They prioritized a unified CRM integration, ensuring that every ad click, email open, and event lead flowed into a single, centralized hub for tracking. This new infrastructure changed how they measured success. They stopped chasing vanity metrics, like raw website traffic, which looked impressive on a slide deck but failed to drive sales. Instead, the system identified genuine intent signals, tracking prospects from their first interaction to closed revenue. Establishing this single source of data truth is the only way to prove marketing's value to a CFO. When the data is unimpeachable, marketing stops being a questioned expense and becomes a strategic investment. But a functional data platform is only half the battle. The rebuilt marketing engine must also physically connect to the sales department. In many companies, the two teams are siloed. Marketing tosses leads over the fence and assumes their job is done, while sales watches qualified leads stall because the handoff process is broken. To fix this, TB Consulting aligned both departments around shared financial metrics. They stopped focusing on lead volume and started measuring customer acquisition cost and the direct return on ad spend. A lead has no financial value until it results in a conversation. By making the transition from marketing to sales frictionless, they guaranteed that their efforts actually generated revenue. With the system finally integrated and the metrics aligned, the company turned the budget back on and began feeding capital into the new engine. This chart shows the immediate impact. In just 4 weeks, TB Consulting went from 0 leads to generating nearly 20 highly qualified opportunities in their sales pipeline. This predictable flow of leads solved the company's most dangerous structural risk. It allowed them to finally diversify their client base and end their total reliance on that single, massive customer. Growth isn't the result of luck or isolated tactics. It requires resilient data systems that transform marketing from an overhead cost into a predictable revenue driver.